I'm Karen Palmer, WSU Master Gardener. There are thousands of varieties of tomatoes on the market, and when you go to a nursery or a plant sale, you may only be presented with, several dozen. But that's still enough. You could get that deer in the headlights look. So I'm going to give you a few things to consider before you go shopping for your tomato plants, so you're better able to make a decision. The first, one of the most important, is whether it's a determinate or an indeterminate plant. The difference is a determinate plant, it only grows to 3 or 4 feet, and it will produce most of its fruit at the same time. They don't need to be staked, they don't need to be pruned. They're very good for small garden areas. So if you have a small raised bed or even a container, you probably want to stick with a determinate plant. An indeterminate plant will continue growing throughout the season. They'll get quite large. They're going to produce throughout the season, so they're good for producing a lot of fruit eating throughout the summer. But they do need to be staked or contained in some way, and they need to be pruned. So that's an important decision. The other one is the growing season. The tag on the tomato plant or the information available with it should tell you how many days to maturity. And that's the date from the date you plant it in the garden. So if you live in the Olympic Peninsula or up in the mountains somewhere, you're probably going to have to stick with something that's 70 to 75 days. That's the extent of your growing season. If you're lower in the valley, in eastern Washington, you'll be able to go with a longer days to maturity, something like 85 to 90 days. But just be aware of that criteria when you're choosing your plant. The other one is more personal. It's whether it's an heirloom or a hybrid, and that information should be available often on the tag. An heirloom variety is something that's been around for ages and is tried and true. You can save the seeds from them and it will come true to the same type of tomato. So some people just like to stick with heirloom or open pollinated plants. If you don't care, there's lots of varieties of hybrid tomatoes out there. For instance, there's some that are resistant to tomato blight, like this one, Mountain Majesty. So they have some good characteristics in hybrids also. And you don't have to just have red tomatoes. There are red, they're pink, they're yellow, orange, purple, black, even a white color tomato. So you could have fun with your tomato platters if you have room for more than one tomato. There are also bicolors, and so just look at that too, and there might be some variety for you there. The last thing I want to mention is that grafted tomatoes are now becoming more and more available. And you need to know if it's a grafted tomato, because normally you would plant a tomato deep, but with a grafted plant, you want to plant it the same level it is in the pot. And that's because the rootstock is providing all the benefits of a grafted tomato. So you don't want to bury that graft union. And so you might ask, how do I know if I have a grafted plant? And my answer is, believe me, you're going to know, because you pay a lot for a grafted plant. So that's something that's going to be immediately obvious to you. And then the last thing to mention is when you bring home a plant, say from a greenhouse, you bought it at a nursery or in a greenhouse, it's not going to be hardened off. So you don't want to go straight from there and plant it into your garden. You need to harden that plant off. This applies to all of your vegetable transplants. Spend about a week getting it used to being in the outdoor conditions, and then you can plant it in your garden and it'll be happy and healthy. So enjoy. Thank you.